I don't know. And most of the time, as you said, when we see that DK, it does tend to come a little bit later on in the draft, and the starter can give him some problems. That Corrosive Haze is going to be useful in terms of reducing the DK's overall tankiness, but the problem with the Slardar is he's kind of an off tank, so to speak, to borrow phrases from other games. He's not necessarily conventionally tanky. He can certainly fill into that offlane role. He's your initiator, lots of lockdown, lots of armor reduction, but if you're called upon to put that Slardar in the front line and just say you are the man who needs to be the wall, I don't really think the Slardar can provide that. So if you're Hokori here, looking to what I'm assuming will be their final core pick, either with the fourth or the fifth selection, you're going to need someone with a little bit of durability. You can't afford to go too sort of glass cannony at this point, otherwise their lineup might not be able to outlast Undying in a fight, regardless of the damage output.
And it looks like they're probably going to pick up their... Okay,
All right.
there's your tank. That's your
Mm-hmm.
bristleback, and it's gonna feel pretty good versus that DK. Again, you have that anti-armor in the lane, but you're laning into an Enchantress. It really feels not the best as well versus Treant. Treant is such a beast pick versus the Slardar, even though you will be able to get that Corrosive Haze, get that vision down, so you always sort of can scout out where the Treant is in the trees. Once you're in, you're stuck. And we keep on seeing Treant Protector picked up in these games where once you initiate, he puts down sort of the Nature's Grasp. He always is able to hold that root for an extremely long amount of time. And if he's able to keep you in, I don't think Hokori really have too much burst right now. The puck needs to get a lot of farm, I think, before that happens. And you're going to see the puck itemized towards that Lincoln Sphere to sort of counteract the DK's play, make him buy at least one more item to try and pop that Lincoln's. And I really like where Undying have sort of brought this draft. Of course, there is a Bristle on the field. You can never discount that hero, especially once they get the Ags. Then the DK is going to cry because besides BKB, there really is no getting out at that point. But that's sort of a far cry away.
And we see both teams here in the final phase actually focusing on that carry position. So Undying are sort of assuming that Hokori are going to mix things up a little bit here. They're not buying into the Bristle in that sort of carry position. So I believe they're assuming Analog would then take it mid. That would push the puck either into the offlane or a supporting role, which, to be honest, yeah, it's a viable sort of move that they could make. So I don't know if it's going to be correct for Undying, but I can see where they're sort of coming from here. As Hokori, out of time, there we go, 1 second on the clock before they make their choice, and they will take the Monkey King, not a hero that we've really gotten to see any of in this event so far.
So this means it's going to be a 5 puck, possibly moving everybody else around. 5 puck, 1 monkey, offlane Slardar for Mirana. It makes sense on paper, but we have not seen this monkey in a very long time. It is for a good reason too. It feels like the hero just sort of dies in a lot of situations, and now you get this last pick, Terrorblade, coming from Tomato, a hero that a lot of teams have been banning out second phase versus him. And even though you did thin out that safe lane pool towards the end of the bans, I feel like Undying are really happy with their draft. I feel like they got everything they wanted.
Yeah, they've got durability, they've got lockdown, they've got damage coming out from multiple different sources, so uh, I mean, too early to call it obviously definitively, but yeah, as you said, Undying, they look like they've got something that's going to be just a little bit, I'd say, just sort of easier for them in terms of that ease of execution. We've been talking about that quite a bit throughout this event. The more complicated your lineup gets, the harder it is to pull these plays off, but if you're Hokori, we'll just have to wait and see. That sort of position 5 puck was really all the rage in South America a couple patches ago now, but there are still a lot of 5 players who know how to get that sort of maximum effectiveness out of it, even when you don't have the farm. So we'll see how things play out here. Game number 1 should be getting underway in just a little bit here as we are now loading into the match. Undying hanging out on the Radiant side of the map while we've got, while we've got Hokori on the Dire, and, well, we'll have to wait and see whether either of these two squads look for any sort of aggressive play early on here. We've been seeing a lot of those sort of early smokes coming out, looking for either deep root, or excuse me, deep wards, or just sort of an opportunity for that first blood play, but we won't actually get to find out just yet, as we have a bit of a pause at the start.
And we'll have to see. I hope we see Hokori if they do decide to go for that smoke play. Oop, interesting. XD.
Oh boy. Okay, well, that's
You need to be like a shark. You need to be like
You
a
need to
shark.
be like a shark. Of course. Okay, so we're gonna get out of here in just a moment, but I would like to see Hokori smoke over to the Undying side and maybe get some wards down. But yeah, we're out. We're outie.
Huh. Alrighty. First game of the day. Sometimes it's just going to be like that. So we will be remaking this game in all pick. It'll be all the same picks. So yeah, we'll be hopping out of here for just a moment, but we'll be back in hopefully, well, just a couple of minutes for the start of this game. So apologies, folks. Yeah, mistakes happen, and we'll get back into it just as quickly as we can. Okay, hello everybody. We're gonna try this one again. Had some issues there with the lobby setup in game 1, so we are remaking the game in all pick. That's why you're seeing these picks just sort of flying by here. We have remade in all pick. Everyone's just gonna select the exact same heroes they did before, and we'll be getting back into the match momentarily. So, false alarm. We are going to be getting started with game 1 now. So, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that impromptu break. I am here with ET again, this time for real, as we are going to be getting this match started. So, a bit of a false start there to kick off the day, but we should be getting things ready now. So, ET, welcome back. And we are now actually good to go here on this first game.
Yes, and I'm excited to see what these teams are going to be able to put out. Hokori, while not sort of having the best games in the past couple days, it should be a fun series, and I think having this Bristle back, if Analog is able to sort of carry this game, if he can get that Aghanim Scepter in a decent amount of time, then I think that this game could get a little bit hairy for Undying. Even though we do have Tomato Terrorblade, which is definitely a staple, we saw in their only loss versus Infamous, if the 3-4-5 on Undying do start to struggle, that's where really it gets complicated, and that's where we saw Infamous really push their advantage up until the win just sort of came to its own. So if Hokori can get that ball rolling, then they've definitely got a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. They are going to be the underdogs in this matchup. We were sort of looking at the odds earlier on, so thank you for that loop bet as well. But Undying is going to be the favored team in just about any matchup here, but favored does not mean guaranteed for success. We have seen some solid play from Hokori. There's also been some inconsistencies here and there, but as you said, if they can sort of get this going, get themselves off to a strong start, and really emphasize, early farm and success for the likes of Analog and Lumiere, then there is certainly a path to victory here, as Analog is going to take a tower shot in the middle lane, trying to scout out, I believe, for the early ward, but there's no ward here, at least on the Undying side. Hokori did drop down an Ob's ward there to cover the river area, but yeah, it's just a tower shot. He's already regened up all that HP anyway, so it's not going to matter much, and the peace of mind is obviously going to help him as this lane gets started.
And something that I almost forgot to mention is they've picked this Monkey King into Enchantress. He's going to be able to purge off your stacks. I don't understand. Really, this monkey pick feels completely alien to me, especially when, again, sort of pointing out the Ursa in that previous phase. As soon as you see that DK, that is the immediate punishment, almost to a point where I feel like the Slarda could have maybe waited, but they did just sort of shoot their shot, and I think this monkey is not going to have really the best time. Of course, everybody's going to farm. We see with teams like Undying, they love when everyone can get farm, and that's probably what we're going to see, more of just that, but still, I feel like this monkey is not tried and true.
Yeah, it's certainly risky. We'll put it that way. But in theory, mobility and damage output is something you like. Some teamfight strength with the Wukong's command as well. But no guarantees here that Lumiere is going to be able to have much of an impact. But so far, he's doing all right in this lane. This is going to be an interesting one. Undying between Saberlight and Moonmander aren't going to have a whole lot in the way of, I'd say, direct kill potential unless someone gets pretty far out of position, although with Gardic, that's an impetus shot. Wow, yeah, only level 1, no point up in the phase shift, so I think he was assuming maybe Moonmeander had the enchant at level 1 instead, but that is an unfortunate miscalculation on his part, as Undying just get a bit of a freebie there for first blood.
And it feels incredibly awful because you give that to Moon Meander. You see he's already got the medallion queued up. Once he gets that, again, this is just going to make your monkey's life even harder. I think you thought that he would be able to jaunt and maybe dodge the impetus shot with the illusory orb, but it just mistimed it by just a few, and you definitely get punished for that.
Unfortunate for Gardic there as he takes a bit of a tumble early on. So, nice play to start us off for Undying. Meanwhile, we see Moon Meander already rotating his way into the jungle, hits that level 2, goes for the enchant, and returns to the lane with the Hellbear Smasher. So, Moon Meander is really going to do everything in his power here to try and be as disruptive as possible in this lane. I mentioned, or tried to mention earlier on, that the kill potential was maybe a little bit low until Saberlight sort of had more levels, but Moon Meander is not going to be deterred by that, although, did he get that sentry? He did, but he needs to actually spot it. There we go. We'll get his eyes on it. We'll be able to take it down. Gardic attempted to take that sentry down himself, but Moon Meander is simply going to walk in to deny it. So, job done for Moon Meander. It's small plays that he's making here so far, but relatively meaningful ones as well, as he's going to continue to put damage in onto Gardic's puck.
And at the same time, it feels really good. Gardic got that half pull off where the ghost creeps are just a little bit too strong. And keeping that large camp blocked up as much as you can, it's unfortunate he's not in a position to body block it anymore. So you will be seeing Moon Meander getting a creep. And that's something you always need to be sort of concerned with. But this is making it a 1v1. DK versus the Monkey King. You are going to struggle on this DK if you're never able to sort of walk up. And Lumiere is able to get those Jingu stacks pretty consistently. But at the same time, Saberlight, once he hits that really just level 4, he's going to be able to subsist in this lane pretty much without any troubles.
Yeah, dislodging DK from the lane, especially as a physical-based carry like the Monkey King, it's just about impossible. Meanwhile, over in the bottom lane, Dubu and Tomato trying to get a little bit aggressive there on to the Slardar. Vitali was able to back himself away through the tree line, but he's got to be a little bit careful in this lane. In theory, though, Hokori do have one of the sort of better setups for aggression. The crush and or bash into an arrow from that Mirana could get them in there. The problem is, well, they may not necessarily be able to pull that combo off as consistently as they might like, depending on the positioning of that treant. As up top, Moon Meander actually gets himself caught out. Gardic is able to lock him down with that first point up in the Waning Rift, so the silence comes through, and Moon Meander not exactly a tanky hero early on, as Hokori tie us up at 1 kill each.
And we'll see how long Moon Meander really decides to stick up here. He just got a little bit greedy, I think, and going for the boots. Of course, boots are really good on any hero, but once he had that gold for it, not having really the tankiness that maybe that medallion would have provided. And if there's one thing that's certain, this monkey can very consistently get stacks, and if you try to get aggressive on him, you waste the enchant because you have that creep, because it's a little bit too low level, then you are going to get punished. We're going to see Gardic kind of bullied away from here, but Lumiere, he's having a decent time. He's playing monkey versus a melee hero. It's really hard for him not to have an okay time.
28 last hits on the board for that monkey as well. In the meantime, taking a look at a lane that we really haven't been paying too much attention to so far. The middle lane, Bryle on the Ember versus Analog on that Bristleback. So far, it is slightly going the Bristle's way in terms of that last hit count. So I don't really know that there's a whole lot the Ember can do here. We see him sort of maxing out the Sleight of Fist over any sort of Flame Guard play. So getting into the Bristle is going to be pretty damn hard for him. It might just be a bit of a last hit focus as Gardic. Yeah, he is on the run here. No mana for spells. We'll be able to pop that salve though, but it's not enough. He gets the Centaur in for the hit. Only about 1 or 2 seconds left on that enchant duration, though, so that comes in at the perfect time, and Gardic will be taken down. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Tomato trying to fight up against Vitali and Almisho. He's fine, but Dubu, he's certainly not. Dubu will be taken down. Vitali's going to be the one to find the kill, so we are seeing a little bit of early fighting here across the lanes, but it's been relatively even so far until that play. Analog gets Bryle in the middle lane. That was just a straight-up solo kill.
Yeah, I don't know if he didn't expect Analog to have the right-click damage with his level 6. He was TPing out in front of the Bristleback with at least 3 or 4 stacks. It's an uncharacteristic misplay, and now you do have that Remnant to get back to lane. It isn't the end of the world, but a really strange death.
Oh!
Well, they just arrowed him immediately. He's got a haste rune.
That timing is just insane. He might be dead. The silence comes through. Analog will push forward. Bryle, where can he even go? He's going to try and pop that Flame Guard, but it's only level 1. He's trying to get himself away, but Analog... he could have kept chasing. The haste rune did still have some time on it, but didn't want to go too far forward underneath the tower. I think he might have been suspecting that TPs were coming. That ended up not being the case, though. So if you're Bryle, count your blessings there. He was dead to rights for much of that play before finally slipping out of there, but what a setup from El Micho. Perfectly timed with the arrow directly onto that Remnant.
No, Saberlight, he has to TP here. Brown is out of the game for a really long time now. He has to walk all the way back to base, all the way back to lane. It feels pretty awful. At least Saberlight had his TP up and he is a DK. And I think bottom. Tomato's lane is going fantastic, though.
Yeah, he gets the tower and he gets the kill. Vitali will be taken down. Meanwhile, Moonmeander getting a little bit close here to Gardic. That puck may want to be a bit careful, but it looks like Gardic is going to be sort of rotating his way back towards the middle lane. And at this point, these lanes really kind of feel like they're already starting to break apart. We're all of 7 minutes in, and we're seeing quite a few rotations. I don't think all of them were really by choice, as Saberlight. Okay, going for the Dragon Tail, going to stun up Analog and fall back, so he will be okay for now, but didn't have a whole lot of HP or mana to work with there, so smarter for him to just back off and avoid the engagement.
We'll see Moonmeander just doing normal stuff on this Enchantress, just farming up, being incredibly obnoxious. Like Gardic, he's gonna be fine. But with this Enchantress, this is really the benefit. You just have almost another core. You're always able to get up that early farm. He placed the ward for himself to see any rotations. And Hokori don't really have that rotation-oriented hero. It's really going to be Gardic hitting his level 6 and then maybe some arrow plays. But until then, you have to wait for the Blink Dagger on the Slardar. You have to wait for your levels. And until that point, Hokori can't really make any plays, whereas Undying, the Emerald Spirit, the Treant, every single hero on their team sort of has a way to get plays made on the map, where Hokori are very, very passive.
Yeah, they do have the potential, but not right now. And to this point, that sounds a little bit weird to say, considering we're tied up at 3 kills apiece. But to be fair, a lot of the kills for Hokori in this situation have kind of been almost reactionary. They've been sort of taking advantage of Undying, maybe stepping a bit out of line and sort of setting up the plays for them, as opposed to them just sort of getting in there with an aggressive rotation of their own. So while you have those opportunities, you take them, right? You're not going to sort of look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak, but it's not coming because Hokori are sort of ramping up pressure. It's coming because Undying are trying to make these plays and sort of having them backfire. So if you're Hokori, you do need to sort of take a step back here, try and get some of those first big items online, and more importantly, as you were saying, sort of pick up those levels as well. Then we can see them push their way forward. Until then, it's going to be about staying safe and continuing to take advantage of Undying's really only minor mistakes, but this early on, a minor mistake results in some nice kills to keep this one pretty even, as Saberlight was able to take another tower there. So that's a tier 1 gone both mid and bot. So well, Undying are pushing quite nicely here across the first 10 minutes.
And while you are on the Hokori side able to put Analog in front of a lot of those towers, the Bristle can't really do much. Oh, Moonmeander got arrowed.
That's quite a lot.
Arrow.
Arrow, bound the strike, Wukong's command even coming in there, so they were very much serious about getting that kill, and Lumiere's going to get the creep here as well. Okay. A little bit of extra gold going his way. So, nice play from Hokori, and really, I was just talking about the fact that they hadn't really been too aggressive, sort of taking advantage of their opponent's mistakes first, but that is really the first time we've seen them just straight up group up and pursue that target, and they do manage to get it quite nicely. El Micho with the setup on the arrow, and Lumiere does the rest with the damage.
And it was Undying sticking their necks out just a little bit, but again, you're farming, you have this Treant Protector. We're going to see Dubu keep this bottom tower alive for an incredibly long amount of time. We keep seeing teams, specifically 2-based and Undying, picking this Treant Protector or the Winter Wyvern and sticking them in a lane, keeping those towers alive for way longer than they should. And again, Undying, they have these tools that sort of automatically get them objectives. And Saberlight, he's very close, well, not very close, but working towards his blink at a much faster pace than this Slardar is. And to that degree, Hokori don't have that comeback method. They're much worse at pushing towers, and you'll see them group up a lot more when it comes to these carts. But very simply, I think you'd make maybe a 3-hero rotation to defend these towers, and once the cart's gone, Hokori are back to farming, and so are Undying. Undying definitely have a better lineup when it comes to that sort of farm-oriented play. I mean, Saberlight, they're pinging him out, but there's no hero to really come up here. I think Lumiere is just waiting to farm the creeps after everyone leaves.
Yeah, they don't have it right now. They don't have that initiator. They don't have that sort of dynamic play. They need either just a straight-up arrow play from the Mirana sort of out of left field, or they need this Blink Dagger finished up by Vitali. And You do see that Slaughter now trying more and more to emphasize that early farm, but
Okay.
they are getting baited into a bit of a, or not baited into a fight, rather. They're just going to push directly in onto Dubu. They're going to hit him up with the Dream Coil, and Dubu buys some time with the Overgrowth, but it won't be enough to actually save him, as Hokori do find that kill. So they're at least able to get one there, but that's Dubu alone in the south side jungle. That's really the easiest target you could possibly find. But at least they get it. That's going to count for something. But now Analog having to sort of fight for control of these jungle camps as he is going to get stunned up in the river. Hit up by the Breathe Fire as well. That Orb of Corrosion even sort of taken away a little bit of that durability, but it's not going to be enough. Analog simply backs away, and neither the Ember nor the DK really want that fight to go on much longer.
He moves back in, but yeah.
Oh god, yeah, he is. He's just going to walk away, though. Trying to save that tower, but I think he's going to need some help here if they really want to protect it. But at this point, well, help is coming, but for the wrong side, or at least from Dubu's perspective. El Misho and Analog are going to rotate their way in, and yeah, that tower will go down. Dubu certainly kept it alive for quite some time, but at the end of the day, he is going to have to let it go, and now needs to be careful he doesn't get spotted. That arrow will fly, but it's way off the mark, so looks like Dubu will be just fine, but the tower does get taken by Hokori, their first objective taken in this match.
And it's an objective you need to take, and that's something that Hokori need to do consistently. You have to get away with playing in two different lanes and then make the sort of split decision on which tower to commit on. And mid's just too hard. They take the easy tower to grab, but at the same time, you're going to see this mid tower healed up completely, and there's nothing they can do about it because up until that 15-minute mark, they still have that coil. They still have some plays to be made, but up until Vitaly, and I think he actually has that Blink Dagger coming out now, we might see them getting a little bit more aggressive, but Tomato is farming during all of this time. This is all just space created for the Terrorblade.
Yeah, how's he doing so far? Dragonlance and Yasha early. Not looking for the Manta. He's actually going to queue up the... Excuse me, the earlier... Scotty, wow. Brain did not work for a second there. Eye of Scotty is the item he's trying to build, so very much trying to get himself obviously damage, but also durability for these fights. As speaking of, we do see Undying wrapping their way around. Vitaly going up onto the high ground, immediately stunned up by the Dragon Tail, and if he's gone, that's a lot of their lockdown immediately taken out of the fight. As Vitaly will end up going down. The arrow did hit onto Saberlight, though. That's going to lead Lumiere in with that Wukong's command. They're going to try and take down the Ember as they do hit him up with the Dream Coil as well. As Bryle will be taken down, but now Saberlight blinking his way forward. He's looking for that secondary stun. He will be able to throw it down onto the Monkey King as the rest of Undying will come up from behind him, and they do get the kill. They've taken down, well, 2 of the cores so far, but can they deal with Analog? He is pretty tanky at this point, but Tomato hits him up with a Sunder, going to swap those HP bars, looking to do some damage onto Gardig as well, but well, Puck is able to fall back. In the meantime, they're chasing after Moon Meander. This Enchantress not going to be taken down very easily. He goes for the enchant, in for the slow onto Analog, still actually not dead, while his teammates over in the east are going to be able to sort of pick off some of those supports, as El Misho will be taken down, but I do believe that is going to be the end of the fight, or maybe not. Vitaly respawns, TP's back in, blinks in, goes for the crush, and this DK is not going to get himself out of here. He tried to TP out, but Vitaly hits him up with the bash, and Saberlight will fall. So Hokori, well, they were looking a little bit rough there in the middle of that fight, but they pull it back with the kill onto the DK. That's just about even looking at that teamfight recap.
And they did a very nice job finding the Ember Spirit, getting the coil onto him. Up until Bryle gets that BKB, there really is no answer for the coil. So they found the absolute perfect target to get that coil down onto, and they can't fight Analog right now. They don't have that Scotty. That really is the only solution to this Bristleback. Once they get that, then there is going to be some problems. But Analog's the big winner of that fight. He really got all of the gold, and now 2 components down on his Aghanim Scepter. If he can get that before 20 minutes, and it looks like with the pace, he's going to definitely sort of get that goal. This is going to be a scary Bristleback.
Yeah, they were just sort of waiting, trying to bide their time on the Hokori side, looking to see what items they could pick up. Analog's now getting himself going. We saw Vitaly obviously making a bit of a mistake there initially pushing up onto the high ground, but respawns in time and puts that Blink Dagger to use on the very back end of the engagement. So Hokori are starting to build up some speed here, and over on the other side, Undying don't really seem to quite have the exact same trajectory. Obviously, your Terrorblade farming up incredibly well, but Saberlight's got a blink, not a whole lot else at the moment. The Ember Spirit is working towards a Spirit Vessel, but not done with it yet. So this could be an opening for Hokori to continue pushing their way forward. Especially, as you said, if Analog can actually get up that Aghanim Scepter, as Moon Meander will be jumped in on. Vitaly's going to be able to hit him up with the crush into the bash, but they do need Analog in here for the damage. He is going to arrive, though, and now Moon Meander's in some serious trouble. But the reinforcements will arrive. Bryle in, Saberlight going to push forward as well. Amisho stunned up and taken down. Dream Coil, though, will be deployed. It does hit onto 2. That should help facilitate the retreat here, as Hokori are just going to back themselves away, but they're not all out of here just yet. The Monkey King showing himself in the lane, but I don't think Undying are going to be able to catch up to him in time. They're not going to be able to hit up Analog either, so Hokori do lose one, but they will pretty much pull back with the rest of the lineup with no further complications.
And that is all of your transformations used. You use the DK form, you use the metamorphosis. They have to consider whether or not they maybe go into the pit, maybe they want to just sort of post up, wait for Hokori to maybe walk right back into them as they are trying to get back out onto the map. But you did feel like all you did lose was the Mirana. And yeah, they're gonna try and get a revenge play going, especially if they see Brow showing in sort of a separate lane. If they could find a pickoff on the supports or Saberlight, it'd be really good for Hokori.
Let's see what they can do here. Making their way through the river. Vitaly
Nice.
blinking in. Nice crush onto 2. Arrow will follow. Hitting up onto Moon Meander. But that untouchable, it is a bit of an issue. Do they have the nuke damage to get this kill anyway? They're certainly going to try. Boundless Strike coming through. Moon Meander dropping low, but the Nature's Attendants and the Living Armor will continue to heal him up. And that is an empty trip there for Hokori. That sucks. They bring 5 heroes top. They don't get any kills, but they do get into the Roche Pit. That is going to be more than a sort of commensurate consolation prize if they can get this Aegis into their hands.
Well, and if you force heroes to TP out, you force heroes to sort of force away from the pit. He's got negative 18 armor. This is something that Hokori have in spades, is that anti-armor. And now that you have an Aegis on the Monkey King, he's going to be able to feel pretty confident in these fights. He wasn't really sort of being targeted before. Really, Undying need to take out the backlines. They need to take out the Moran and the Puck pretty much at the beginning of every fight. And Bryle, oh no.
And Bryle getting jumped in on there in that east side jungle. Dream Coil is going to keep him locked down, and
Nice.
oh, not long enough. Able to jump away with the first Remnant. Second gets him a little bit further out. He is not necessarily clear just yet. Needs the mana, though, for that final jump. It looks like he's going to get out. Oh, no, he's not. Saberlight, nice stun, but Vitaly's in there with the blink into the crush and the bash, and they're not going to be able to get Bryle out of there. It's a nifty move at first, but it's actually not enough. Big kill for Hokori, and now they're going to try and push their way further forward, moving into that west side jungle. They will take the rune, they can take these camps, and they can try to establish maybe a little bit more control over the map right now. Is Omisho doing some scouting? I think he saw both Dubu and Tomato there, but doesn't really have the means to jump in onto them by himself. But Analog's just going to straight up push the middle lane. They've got Lumiere coming in here as well, and they want this tower. So I don't know if Undying are really going to be able to mount any sort of effective defense without that Ember.
And right now they're setting up for that 20-minute cart. They want to push in their lanes as far as they can go. You're going to have that Bristleback Ags coming out. And unfortunately, Bryle is not itemizing for that BKB. He decided to go for the Spirit Vessel first. It's 100% a greedy play from him. Hopefully, assuming that Tomato is going to be able to carry him through these fights with his Scotty. But if they're able to find that Ember Spirit, if the fight starts out on him, it's going to keep on happening the way it is. He has to use his remnants defensively. He has to play on the edge of the fights. And Hokori have been able to find him twice in pretty unlikely circumstances. So Hokori are sort of amassing a little bit of an advantage here for themselves. And with the Ags on the Bristleback now, Undying have to be incredibly careful with how they engage these fights. Arcane Rune, no less.
Yeah, this is a very big Bristleback right now. He's tanky, he's got the Vanguard and the Hood, and that Aghanim Scepter is being brought out to him right now. So I'm not entirely sure how they really deal with him. It may just be an instance where they got to go well in onto him with everything they've got, as they will make the play. The Scotty is going to be there. Analog just getting completely locked down, and well, there's the answer. You can get a 4v1 fight, no backup from the rest of Hokori. That certainly sort of makes it easier, but I highly doubt they're going to be able to keep the Bristleback completely isolated every single time, but at least that time they will find success. But now Tomato wants a little bit more. He's going to try to track down Gardic, but I don't know if he can get this by himself. But here comes Bryle in with the Remnant jump, and they've got it. Yeah, Gardic taken down. Bryle, that's just his first kill of the game, but he is finally going to get a little bit of momentum for himself with that first pick. And now we see Undying grouping up towards the middle lane. They've got a creep wave coming in behind him, so they're going to look to get some more damage onto the tower.
And you have to feel, I think, yeah, Dubu gonna go down in the bottom lane, but you have to feel that it's a little bit risky to be that separated from your Bristleback. But if they stay mid a little bit too long, they get 100% get punished by Hokori. They're gonna start TPing in.
That was an interesting blink from Saberlight. He got very close to the Mirana, but I don't think he realized it due to the tree cover there. So no chance for the stun, but now here it comes. Yep, Vitaly wants in. He's going to get the bash first into the crush. Can they save the Ember? Not quite yet. Arrow comes through, keeping him locked down, and yeah, that's a big kill for them. Undying sort of overstaying their welcome just that little bit. They do get the tower, but it is a bit of a costly play as Brile ends up going down again, and now Lumiere is still sort of scouting out in that west side jungle, but no one's going to be that greedy from Undying. They're not going to stick around long enough to get caught out again, although I say that. Moonmander may want to be careful up top. They are converging on his location. There's going to be the Boundless Strike to start it off into the Primal Spring, and Moonmander already down to about half HP. That Untouchable is level 2, so it will help, but it's not going to be enough. Lumiere gets the kill, and Moonmander gets taken down.
That's sort of the theme of Undying's game. Use your transformation spells, try to get an objective, run away. Hokori keep on forcing them back, and they've been really clean in how they're sort of posting themselves up in the map. Even though they are being a little bit separate, they are getting picked off. I don't think anymore they really need to split up. Whenever these transformations are down, they feel so weak on the Undying side. I don't think this TV is going to really want to show up to too many fights, but they're going to make a play in Analog. This is a mistake.
Yeah, jumping in mid, Analog alone again. I said I doubted they'd be able to find him alone a second time, but there it is. This is just kind of frustrating. These are the kind of mistakes. If you're Analog, I know you want to maximize your farm. Your team's pushing top. You feel you have an opportunity to find further farm elsewhere, but once those Undying heroes start to respawn, you cannot be publicly sort of visible in that sort of situation as, yep, Monkey King jumped in on as well. Lumiere alone as well. This is just sort of a running theme now for Hokori, and they're going to pay for it again. Aegis taken out of his hands. They're going to set up onto him again. Dragon Tail stun will come through. Nothing along the lines of a BKB here to save that Monkey King as he is dropping low. The Dream Coil, though, was used defensively. It's just not going to be enough. Tomato finds the kill, and now Vitali in some trouble as well. Going to try to get himself away, but he's not making it out. Dragon Tail stun locks him down. Saberlight gets the kill, and now the Mirana is even in some trouble. Brile hits him up with those Searing Chains, jumping forward with the Remnant, and Undying are just going to basically sort of wipe the board here. 4 kills go in their way off of some relatively minor positional mistakes from those Hokori heroes.
And Undying's decision-making is just so fast. Get the kill on the Bristleback mid, immediately move over to their vision. They feel safe because they think that Undying's just going to go back to their map farm, don't use their abilities aggressively, but now I think it's just a free Rax. They use the meta. Everything is just so tight from Undying, even though they were sort of getting worked by the Hokori lineup a few minutes ago. You had that Spirit Vessel, you had that Scotty finished, and Analog, he's looking for that Lotus Orb now, but just being a little bit too split from his team, and really it's his 2 deaths that have sort of spelled this gold lead emerging for Undying.
Yeah, both of those sort of instances before have been kicked off by him being out of position, and it's kind of funny, as actually, we'll see if Brile can pick up this kill first, then I'll get to that point, as he's going to try to run down Gardic. Not able to lock him down just yet, but the Spirit Vessel still is in there for the damage. Brile, though, will be taken down in exchange. The rest of Hokori push in for the revenge, and that's not exactly a great trade for Undying. This is going to be even worse, as Dubu is going to get himself caught out. That Overgrowth is interesting, but it's not going to really matter. He's almost immediately dead anyway, so Overgrowth put on cooldown. Hokori will find that second kill, but if you're Hokori, you're still losing elsewhere on the map. That tier 2 tower gets taken down in the top lane. Saberlight using that fireball to sort of keep the lanes pushed out as well in terms of those creeps. So good kills for them. 2-for-1 trade in their favor. Obviously, that is going to be beneficial, but they need to be able to control the map a little bit more as well. They're just getting pushed in continuously.
And that's sort of why this fireball is a little bit crazy. Before it was really bad because you could only use it during the Elder Dragon form, which may be lore friendly but not hero friendly. And at the same time, while you are losing this Ember Spirit, while you are losing Dubu, you are killing them in their triangle. You're killing them on the other side of the map, which is exactly where Tomato isn't. None of their deaths are really putting the Terrorblade at risk at all. They are going to have a little bit of an idea where the smoke is going, and we'll have to see if Hokori decide to take the fight with Gardic showing mid.
Feels risky even if they do know that the smoke happened. As you said, they saw it, but they're not entirely sure where it's now going. So this could get a little bit dicey for them, but we'll have to wait and see. They're hanging out in the east right now, Undying. Starting to run out of time on that smoke, however, so if they're going to make the cross, they've got to do it now, but it's a little bit too much hesitation. It looks like the smoke will just dissipate for them naturally, and they've moved into the north side jungle. They're just going to grab some farm while they can.
And it's not the worst case scenario. If these smokes aren't finding anything, you're still pretty happy if you're on the Undying side. You take the outpost back, you get to post up. They'll probably look for those tier 3 items. If you get a Paladin Sword or a Titan Sliver on your TB, Tomato is going to be even happier. He's now working towards that Manta style as well, and it's really just going to be sort of the meat grinder. If Analog does step out, we've sort of passed the point where this Bristleback was unkillable. And unless he gets a BKB, unless he gets some other items that make him feel a little bit tankier, he's trying to go for that Lotus Orb now, and that'll feel pretty good. But we're going to see Hokori, yeah, they're getting initiated.
There it is. Saberlight blinks forward to get the stun down onto Lumiere. He did just pick up that Aghanim Scepter, but those stone soldiers will not be enough to help him. Tomato gets the kill. Lumiere's dead, and he's gone for about a minute with no buyback. So that Ags took him out of his buyback range. He's about 500 gold short, and now here comes Undying, looking to push their way in onto another lane of racks. And this was sort of the point that I was looking to make before we saw that team fight. We were talking about the fact that the transformations for Undying hadn't really been paying off, but the other side of that coin, if they use the transformations and fail, yeah, it feels horrible, but if they win that fight, this is what ensues. They just burn their way through the racks with the meta and the dragon form, so it's very risky if they don't get it, but when they are able to find that success, they immediately turn it into just game-controlling plays afterwards. As Gardic going to get himself into a little bit of trouble here outside of the base. Can he actually get himself out? The Dream Coil will be deployed. That is going to allow him to get back over that wall, but the Spirit Vessel's still ticking him down, and the Sleight of Fist will finish him off. Good play from Bryle in there to make sure they can secure that one.
And now you're out of the danger zone. Bryle has his BKB. You have to really catch him off guard with some sort of stun into arrow. But now, Hokori, the big issue is you have that advantage, you have that lead with that Aegis. It felt like they needed to get more done. And because you have that Aegis, you didn't itemize for BKBs. You have no defensive, really, capabilities at all. And now they simply go get the Roshan without even having meta for another 65 seconds. It feels like this game is completely, really just morphed out of control for the Hokori side.
Yeah, it goes from a sort of problematic deficit to now just being blown wide open. 13k in Undying's favor. 2 full lanes of racks taken. So at this point, if you're Hokori, you're looking for some sort of miracle, and it's going to have to come down to Analog and Lumiere. They're going to try. Arrow will come through. Hits onto Saberlight. Wukong's command thrown down as well, but there's going to be the overgrowth from Dubu trying to reset, but it's not going to be enough. Saberlight's down. Dubu's dead as well. That's 2 quick and easy kills for Hokori. They're looking for a little bit more. They're in onto Tomato. They're going to have to get through the Aegis, though. There's going to be the Sunder, though, healing him up. Bryle coming in as well with the Sleight of Fist into the Searing Chains. They're just going to charge headfirst into this one as Lumiere will be taken down. Tomato, though, goes down as well, but that is going to be the Aegis. He's right back up and into the fight. His Vitali will fall. Analog now. Just him and the supports, and he is going to get rooted in place. Spirit Vessel thrown onto him as well, and they're just going to slowly but surely chunk their way through him. Analog's going to try to fall back. He is using that Nasal Coup effectively as Bryle actually jumped into the arrow, so he is stunned up, but the cheese will heal him in time, and Analog is still on the run. It looks like he's going to be able to make it away. Bryle trying with that Remnant, but it's so slow, he's not actually able to cover a whole lot of ground, and Analog at this point will simply TP himself home.
You did use the Aegis. I was going to mention we have the Demon Zeal now up for Tomato, so not having meta doesn't matter too much more, even though it is still a huge cooldown for them. Oh, they're still chasing him. They're looking for El Misho. Well, they got Gardic.
Oh, they see him, yep. Gonna hit him up there with the slow, the enchant, the Spirit Vessel, everything that they've got, and Gardic, there's no way he gets out of that one. That's a lot of hate for the position 5 Puck, but they bring him down. Puck dead for 40. Tomato sundering his teammate just to sort of top himself off here, and it's max level, so it's a 40-second cooldown. He doesn't really have to be too concerned about having it back up again. He does need to be concerned about the backdoor protection here on this tower. Where is their creep wave? How far back is it? Oh my god, wow. Alright, they may be sitting there for a little while they wait, or maybe not. Oh, whoops. I missed a full creep wave.
Creeps in the base, but now what do? You're just going to get pushed in. You have everything. You don't have the Aegis anymore, but if they're not able to kill Saberlight instantly, yeah, he's just going to go on the aggressive, and your Megas.
Yeah, this is
absolutely nothing.
You can't save these racks. There's not even a glyph here. They are going to try and take the fight, though, but Dubu, look at that. No. Overgrowth connecting onto everyone. Lumiere and El Misho are already dead. Vitali goes down. Oh my god, it's a slaughter. Analog is trying to make it back to his fountain here, but he's so damn slow, he's not going to be able to make it out as Bryle pops the BKB, pushes in. Gardic, that's way too late on the Dream Coil. Obviously trying to make any sort of play that he can, but at this point, it's not going to matter.
GG. I can only imagine they're talking about what they did wrong in this game, because I can only imagine with the win probability, we should see Hokori having at least some semblance of an advantage, especially around that 20-minute mark, but it feels like they really sort of threw away what they got.
Just not quite able to put it together the way that we thought that they might sort of try to. We didn't really see that sort of faster paced style, and at a certain point you can't give Undying that much time, especially on the Terrorblade. They just farmed their way to success as that TB turned into really way too much of a problem, but that even feels like sort of oversimplifying it there. It wasn't just Tomato sort of leading the way. His stat line is probably the most impressive, but solid performances across the board really for Undying as they get this win. And ET, as you were mentioning, you see the win probability here at the end of the game. It was in Hokori's favor until really the final 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that even.
And really, it's right before that 20-minute mark where it hit its peak. And then the first death is literally the Bristleback dying. Then the second death was the two heroes dying bottom. Then after that, it was that one fight where you were able to kill the Monkey King bottom and kill his courier with the Aghanim Scepter. And then you just see a massive dip going into the Undying side. And it really feels like all of the items that Undying went for, even though it was a little bit greedy, going back for that Spirit Vessel on Bryle, he probably could have gotten a BKB and maybe avoided 1 or 2 more deaths. It feels like every item you built was good versus the Bristle, but also really good versus that Monkey King. And again, Monkey King's always been a question mark in a lot of these lineups, and I feel like he continues to be a question mark. It felt like even when he was able to get his ultimate off, when he was able to do a little bit of damage, you get Spirit Vesseled up, you get slowed up, you get killed in your own ring by the TB. He really doesn't care about your hero at all. So I think a little bit of a glaring issue in their draft, but they just had to find something. They had to find some hero for Lumiere that felt not terrible, but Undying, they're just really good with their decision making. They pick and chose their fights basically up until they won.
Yeah, excellent in terms of the execution and the decision making. And if you're Hokori, I suppose it was worth a try, right? You said the Monkey King a bit of a question mark. It could have worked out for them, especially with the Bristleback there to maybe sort of back him up. But at the end of the day, it's a risk for Hokori that doesn't quite pay off. But that's just game 1 of a 2-game series, so Hokori will have a chance to get a little bit of revenge here, but we might see something from them a little less risky. Don't think we're going to be seeing the Monkey King again in this series, or maybe even for the rest of the day. So with that in mind, Undying pick up the win. We'll see now if they can get themselves that 2-0 sweep, or if it's going to be Hokori fighting their way back into this one to salvage the 1-1 draw. So the game 2 should be coming up in just a little bit, so we'll be jumping into a break, but we'll be bringing game 2 your way just as quickly as we can.